Welcome to our board meeting. If you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, welcome to our Monday, August 1st board meeting. We will start with our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Baracco.
Thank you. You do have a revised agenda before you under Roman numeral 7B1. Mrs. Mooch's personnel is the revision for this evening.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make an addition to the agenda. Sorry. I'd like to make an addition to the agenda.
Okay, what's your addition?
That I tender my resignation from the Liaison Committee legislative position.
Okay, do we need to vote on that, or it's just a committee position, right?
You just have to think about who, if someone would want to fill that in moving forward. Normally you do that in January.
Okay, we'll have a discussion of,
There's no session until January anyway.
thank you. All right, thank you, duly noted. So with that, do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mrs. Kelly, is there any correspondence?
Nothing to report on this evening.
All right, we'll move right into our liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
There is nothing to report in Personnel Interview Committee.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
Sherrville Redevelopment Commission, I don't have anything to report on this evening. Sherrville Parks Department, we're finally opening the splash pad. So, yes, we're so excited. Now that we're going back to school, the splash pad is gonna be open. So the ribbon cutting is this Wednesday at the splash pad, right behind the community center at 6 p.m. So if you wanna come on out and help us cut the big ribbon, please come on out. And that's all.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Dr. Malcolm?
Yes, I was going to share with you the date of November 5th for the Lake Central Education. I believe they're calling it the Hero Walk this year, so that's November 5th. It'll be in the morning, of course. Gosh darn, I'm sorry. Okay, Lake Central Education Foundation. I wanted to share with you about the November 6th.
Can I ask you a quick question about the walk? Is that going to be here at the high school, or
Yeah.
are you doing it in the community?
Yeah, I'll share that in a minute. Yeah. Lake Central Education Foundation Walk will be here on November 5th. It will be on the campus. It's early in the morning, and as you know, that was a big part of the reason that the Lake Central Education Foundation had the monies to help with the bucket project that surfaced out of the problem we had last September. So it's always nice to get everybody together and involved with that. And of course, you know, the real reason behind it was the loss of Dana Les, former Lake Central students, to support their family and anyone else who has lost a hero. That's why the name has changed, losing a hero. So I would have nothing for legislative. And then the Dyer Parks, actually, I wanted to share with you that they are doing a Gold Star Memorial in the park on the north side of town there. That was started by Mrs. Nawalczyk. If you remember, David was one of our students here at Lake Central and was killed in action. And so she had worked with Tom Clark at that time to get a memorial put at the North Park. And now we're ready to add walkways and all the beautiful designs that we want to put there with it. So I imagine there'll be another walk coming up in the near future. I believe they're going to depend right now on the disabled American veterans for some support, but I'll keep you informed with that, because if you're like me, you are really want to support veterans. Unfortunately, our country does not do a good job of that. And of course, there's that battle going on in Washington, D.C. With Mr. Stewart, the comedian, and just the travesty that is occurring there. But I will keep you informed, and hopefully we can get donations or something like that for that event. That would be it.
Thank you, and I have nothing for St. John redevelopment, Dollars for Scholars. We're just gearing up for homecoming and always room for more. So if you're interested, reach out to Mrs. Resnick at the high school or myself. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you, Mrs. Suze. We do have some minutes from an executive session, special board meeting, and regular board meeting July 11th, as well as an executive session that the board held on July 26th to be approved. And then we also need our claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures approved this evening. Thank you.
Move to approve the 4 sets of minutes and the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second? Oh,
second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. There are no public comments for action items, so we'll move right into our official school board business topics. Regular agenda, Dr. Baraka.
Thank you. I just wanted to give the board a quick update about this Thursday, August 4th. Lake Central is hosting a McKinney-Vento workshop. I'm happy to report that as of this afternoon, we had 136 people registered to attend. Our goal was 100 because we do have speakers from the Indiana Department of Education as well as a couple of metropolitan school districts in Indianapolis helping us with this. So since we had out-of-towners, we've been pushing to get our fellow superintendents to send representative crews. And I know that we have a fair number of our own staff members attending, especially the morning. The morning is mainly for support staff registrars. The first face of LC that people see, and compliance with compassion is one of the topics. The other one is McKinney-Vento 101, and the third morning session is trauma and the brain education. The afternoon session is regarding attendance and truancy and is more geared for administrators. But we're happy to report that we've got 136 coming so far. It is going to be in this very room. Doors open at 8. We'll begin at 8:30 on Thursday morning. It's a busy week at Lake Central. My second item is to review for the board the contents that came out of the ISBA joint Indiana Department of Education School Safety webinar from July 27th last week. Several topics were discussed. The first one is a pretty clear-cut one for us. It's a secured school safety grant program, which we do apply for each year. We thank Mr. Beck for his efforts on that in conjunction with Mrs. Muchin, the SROs. They work through that grant, and we've been able to get the maximum for the past few years. This year could be interesting. There is a $19 million pool of money to be separated or divided up, and they received $25 million in requests. So first time in a while that it's been oversubscribed. It is important to note that historically, SRO salaries have been the top priority in terms of who receives the grant. We just don't know what other people applied for at this time. The other piece related to this is Terry Spradlin, our director at ISBA, said that it is one of their top legislative priorities to get them to increase the size of this grant. And along those same lines, when I was talking to Senator Niemeyer last week at our auction, I suggested that maybe it doesn't even need to be in a grant form. Maybe this could be something that could go right into the line item in the budget, since most of our General Assembly members know that we are all spending more on school safety and security than we're getting from the grant. So we fill out the paperwork because it's worth it, but the question is it really necessary if everybody knows that we all need that much money and more? The second piece they talked about was just reviewing the School Safety Academy. I'm also proud to report that we have been able to keep our administrators up to date on attending the School Safety Academy. The state does limit us to 5 attendees per corporation each year. Unless there's space, then they'll open it up to more. The initial training is 3 days. The advanced training is 2 days per year. The advanced training can either be done in person or it can be done with online hours. So we are happy to be consistent participants in that. Also want to talk a little bit about the House Bill 1093, which expanded SRO training requirements. It was interesting to hear from Stephen Balco, who was the Indiana Department of Education representative, who also works closely with the SROs, and he said that this is required for people who work with students during school hours. So anybody who's supervising events like Friday night football games, that outside supervision is not included. If there were traffic duties for other types of events, that would not be included. And it's his opinion, and he said that it could be considered a little gray, but it's his opinion that people who only come in to supervise lunch also would not need the special training. It is for those officers who are in our building interacting with students during the regular school day, not to include lunch. It's also important to know that with this new requirement, the state is also planning on increasing the number of trainings, the NASRO trainings that all of our 5 SROs have already completed, and they will be doing it geographically across the state. We've talked in the past about possibly hosting one of those sometime in the future too, and we'll continue to consider that with our SROs here at Lake Central. And then the other piece they went on was to share with everybody who was viewing the benefits of a county safety commission. We are happy to announce that we attend those regularly with multiple administrators and our SROs, and for the past couple of years, Officer Patrick has been an officer in the county commission. So from those county meetings, we do continue to share ideas for our contracts with our towns, for reunification plans, for drills, and for sharing of threat assessments and those kinds of things. So by meeting regularly, it helps all of us to stay up on what the latest issues are and to get better at what we're doing to provide a safe and secure environment for our students. The other piece that he only mentioned was that there is a federal piece that's coming down this fall. It's called a Safer Community Act. They didn't have details yet, but they expect us to have them sometime in September. And then the big conclusion from both Dr. Spradlin and Stephen Balco was the best practice for all schools is to maintain ongoing communication with public safety officials. And again, I am proud to say that our SROs, Mrs. Mucha, our principals, and others, have done a great job of continuing to have our, monthly meetings with all Tri-Town fire and police, as well as at least monthly meetings just with Mrs. Mucha and the SROs to continue to talk about those little things that can make us a kinder and safer place for our students. So just wanted the board to hear about the webinar. It is archived. You can go to the ISBA site and watch the 58-minute webinar if you would like to hear what they had to say for yourself, and I'd encourage you to do so. Any questions?
Dr. Bracco, the SROs and the principals that are in the school safety academy, do they need to be relicensed periodically with, continuing ed and those types of things, or is it just a one-shot training and that's it?
So they do have to continue their training. So the first year is 3 days, and each subsequent year is either 2 days or 10 hours online.
They have to do it every year?
Every year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sometimes they'll have a regional training, and you can go count it for half of your hours if you attend it. We haven't had that in the last couple of years on account of the pandemic, but prior to that, and I could see some of those things coming back online as we move forward.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to our Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you very much. We're recommending that the following personnel items be approved, but I wanted to bring your attention 3 retirements. Dawn Haskell with 26 years, Karen Finley with 31, and the winner for this evening Linda Budak in the cafeteria with 43 years of service.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Kelly and a
Second.
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. My second item is the change to administrative handbook. It is under procedures 4. It's in your packet, and it's details added on administrative retirements.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And my last one is in your packet. They are asking IDOE, as every year, approval on that teacher appreciation grant, and the only thing that will change is the year.
I'd like to move to approve that grant.
Second?
We have a motion by Dr. Malco and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move right along to Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am coming before you tonight seeking approval for the package or the request you have in your board packets.
Move to approve?
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second?
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
And just to keep you informed, we have been hosting reveal trainings in July, and we will continue into August, into the second week of August, actually. The majority of our teachers have either been trained or have already been trained this summer or are scheduled to be trained before school begins. So kudos to our teachers because they have been coming in this summer to train on our new math program. And then also, our math coach, Lisa Alessandri, has already completed all the pacing guides for our teachers, and we have scheduled checkpoint meetings throughout the year with our math curriculum committee at the end of each grading period. And then as far as Safety Village, typically our second grade students attend Safety Village, but because of the pandemic, our incoming fourth graders could not attend the Safety Village when they were in second grade, so they will be going this year as well. So this year we're sending second grade and fourth grade. And then we'll keep you posted on everything else. We're working on the dates, so as soon as I know the dates, I'll keep you all posted.
I have a question about the reveal trainings. You say that's the math?
Yes,
Okay. And you said that periodically throughout the year, you'll have meetings to
Correct.
debrief?
correct.
Now, will that include data analysis and
Yes.
relating it back to
Yes.
state test scores, I should say?
Yes,
Okay.
we're going to review everything from the pacing guides, are those working for us? Should we, make modifications? Whatever changes we need to make for our students, we're going to work on together as a team.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I'm seeking your approval for the professional leave requests.
Move to,
Sorry.
I have a motion by Dr. Malco,
second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And for my second item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip requests.
I'd like to make that a recommendation for approval.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco, and I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
And then for my last item, I just wanted to update you on some of the summer math curriculum work. We were able to train the middle and high school teachers prior to the end of the school year. It requires a lot less subs in the elementary, and so that's why we're able to squeeze that in May. And then over the course of the summer, we've been working on math curriculum for the high school and the middle school. I did want to update you on the middle school work because I feel that that's most pertinent given those iLearn scores that were just released. So over the summer, our middle school math curriculum committees met several times. We put in a lot of hours, and I'm so appreciative of our math coach, Scott King, as well as the committee members for all of the work that took place over the summer. They looked through every lesson in the reveal books in order to put together plans for the entire first grading period for all of the grade levels for both regular and advanced. When they were selecting those activities, they very intentionally wanted to pick ones that prompted math discourse, that really focused on developing conceptual understanding and looking at different strategies. They also looked at application problems that are going to challenge our students more, but there's good scaffolding within the program that will help give them support to build their confidence with it. When they were designating common assessments and assignments, we looked for more challenging questions that are going to mirror iLearn. and also the College Board PSAT. And so that'll give us great data throughout the year to see how our students are doing with those types of problems. And then the new curriculum documents were then shared with all of the math teachers throughout the middle school. The curriculum committee members and the department chairs all felt strongly that the people who had served on the committees kind of had an advantage because they had had more time to get to know the materials in depth and see where we were trying to head. And so we all agreed it was important that we have a meeting with all of the math teachers in the middle school. And so we're going to hold that on the first teacher day, so that way we can all discuss what our path forward is. So hopefully we can see improvement in those I-Learn scores for the entire district at all 3 middle schools. So that's what we've been spending our summer on. And I just wanted to say again how much I truly appreciate all of the committee members and Scott King, as well as the math coach and my department chairs at the middle school, for all their hard work. I also wanted to just give you a brief unrelated reminder that tomorrow is the start of new teacher orientation. We now have over 40 new teachers who will be joining the district. And so if you'd like to join us, breakfast is at 8 a.m. and we can do introductions then before we get started at 8:30. If you can't join us then, we also have a luncheon for the teachers at 11 till noon. And so if you'd like to, that'll be right outside the high school cafeteria as well.
I'm sorry, I missed how many teachers?
42, I believe.
42?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any questions about the math curriculum work or about tomorrow?
Okay, as I'm trying to understand this conceptual math, it appears, as I did my research, that it's going to be much easier for the primary and elementary because it's kind of what they're doing already.
Yes.
But when we get into the middle school and high school, it's probably going to be more challenging. So that brings me to the question of the additional help that will be provided for the teachers at the middle school and high school level. What's your plan for that?
So we're going to bring back in a couple of people that we've had success working with in the past, and that's Sharon Rack, who is focused more on the middle school, and Scott Miller, who is focused more on the high school. We already have Scott Miller booked to do some work with our Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 teachers this fall, and then Sharon Rack is going to work more with my middle school math coach. Part of that meeting that we're having on the first teacher day is to tell them there's going to be growing pains. We know this is a transition that's going to push some people out of their comfort zone. Elementary's done an amazing job of using that inquiry approach where the kids are sharing and discussing their strategies. And I think we feel pressure at the secondary level trying to get through all that we have to every year of just giving them the most efficient method, which is how we were all taught math. Like, here's the most efficient algorithm for you to do what you need to do. And we want them to become problem solvers. And in order to do that, we have to have more discussion and more points of entry for them to try to attack these problems themselves. And so what we want to make clear on that first day is that when you're feeling frustrated, don't give up, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Make sure you're reaching out to Scott Keene. We'll get subs, we'll do half day, full day release time if they want to work with them. We'll be able to have them sit down with their grade level teams, and we're gonna meet again with the curriculum committees as we get about halfway through the first grading period, and we'll do that every grading period. And so they know that they have all those resources there at their disposal.
So then basically you reserve some Title II money for professional learning opportunities when they need it.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Sounds like a good plan. Starting plan, so good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Gramala.
First item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request that was in your packet.
Move to approve the professional leave request.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay. And then my second item was to just give the board an update on some changes to our special education excess cost funding, because it will impact some of the claims and things you see coming through on our board agendas. So special education excess cost funding is available to us from the state level, and it is to provide services to students where our case conference committee has deemed those students are in need of such a level of service that it's beyond what the public school can provide. So it is a set dollar amount that is allocated by in the state budget. The dollar amount hasn't changed since the 90s. So as you can imagine, a lot of things have changed since the 90s. And so with the increase in requests for funding, as we have all seen students become more and more complex and their needs increase, So the state has seen an increase in requests for funding and also a steep increase in prices from vendors who provide residential and day treatment programs. So because of that, they have sort of changed their formula for determining who's eligible to receive these funds in an effort to make sure that the funds are still getting to the neediest students in the state and also reaching the largest number of students. So they have increased the threshold that we have to pay as a school district. So previously, we paid, it was a formula figured out by our ADM amount. So we were paying, the district, Lake Central was paying about $9,000 when we placed a student out. And then if we got that funding approved, the Department of Ed would pay for the rest of it. They've increased the amount the school district will be responsible for to $26,284.53.
Are you serious?
Yes, and that is, they figured that amount, it's 3 times the average ADM in the state. And so that's where they came up with that dollar amount. So that's a steep increase for us. It also means that most likely any applications we put in for a day treatment facility will be denied, because day treatment facilities typically won't reach that $26,000 per fiscal year cost expenditure, which means that if we determine that a student needs that type of service, the district will have to pay the full amount. Our students receiving residential services, those costs are, I mean, almost $200,000 for a fiscal year. So we will still most likely get those approved if we recommend that for a student. But again, the amount the district has to pay will increase. So when I got this, I went to talk to Rob, and we just warn him, because he feels he's the one who submits our reimbursements to the state. So the way this works is we always have to pay up front, and then the state would reimburse us the amount. We do have our staff members, we receive some reimbursement from Medicaid for services that we provide that are medical in nature in the school setting. Ever since that was started, we've reserved that money for special education. In talking with Rob, that is how we are going to fund these placements. That's the other thing the Department of Ed told us, is that they want to make sure we are exhausting all other sources of funding before we ask them for money. So it's a very small number of students, and I'm very comfortable with the students we're recommending these placements on. We go through many, many steps before we get to this point with kids, but there are some who really do go above and beyond what we can provide here. So I just wanted to let you know, right now you might see those expenditures and you ask me sometimes, and I say, oh, we're gonna get all this money back. I won't be able to say that anymore. But we'll continue to move forward, and it shouldn't impact our general fund as of right now. But just as our next legislative session starts, and as we start hearing budget talks, the Department of Ed is going to be asking for an increase in this line item. Our professional organizations will be asking for that also. We just need help to meet the needs of the kids. So, any questions on that?
Well, do I remember correctly? And I probably don't, but was there an increase in the amount that we receive for each special ed student, the per pupil expenditure?
Yes, yeah, that
It was.
for some of our funding areas, that has increased over the last couple of years.
Do you remember where we're at and where we were last year on that? Do you remember?
Well, it depends on, students are split into 4 different categories.
Okay.
So we saw an increase in some of our categories and some not. So, it still doesn't really fully reach the level of what we provide to students, but every increase helps.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? Thank you. Move to our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledyard.
Thank you, Mrs. Suze. Tonight you have 3 items, one being an action item, the other 2 just information. My first action item is talking about the Bibbage bids. On June 28th, we received the trade package 1 and 2 for bid package 1. That's the excavation and site utilities for the project. And on July 13th, we received all the bids for bid package 2 and bid package 3. Bid package 2 is basically everything but the site utilities, site work, paving, site concrete, and building concrete. Bid package 2 is everything else associated with a new addition, and bid package 3 was basically the renovation of the HVAC and electric and new ceilings for the existing building. Unfortunately, the bids came in significantly high. We're about 19% higher than our budget, and probably what we talked about when we started talking about this project 8 to 10 months ago, we're probably about 25% high. Obviously, we've talked about this before. It's a very volatile market right now. There's a shortage of labor. There's an abundance of work. The COVID that pandemic has really messed up the supply chain as far as materials and delays. We're also dealing with the Crown Point Hospital that also has tapped into the local labor workforce. So unfortunately, I'm going to ask you tonight to reject all those bids. Again, that's for bid package 1, trade packages 1 and 2, and all bid package 2 and all bid package 3. We had approved bid package 1 that was bid June 1st for the building concrete, the site concrete, as well as the paving to expedite, we thought we could still go on to expedite submittals. Those contractors we awarded were gracious enough to formally withdraw their bids because it was over the 60 days, if it was today, so that we didn't have to have a special board meeting, so they formally withdrew those bids last week. So that's where we are right now. We are going to take this time during the winter to do some value engineering on the project with the architect, myself, along with some key subcontractors. Hopefully we can get some input and get some value engineering to hopefully help with that. We're also hoping the market settles down a little bit. Another factor for this too, especially on our bid package 3 and a good portion of bid package 2, are the mechanicals. The HVAC and also residual effect with the electrical component of the HVAC scope is all the ESSER money that the federal government has given out to everybody. And the HVAC market is flooded. It is, so the workforce is depleted, materials are depleted. I'll give you an update on the Grimmer HVAC project, just to give you an example. We expedited our submittals for the RTUs, which are rooftop units for the new Grimmer project. I think we had them ordered the first week of May, and at my construction meeting last week, right now, Carrier's telling us at best they're going to be here the last week of May of 2023.
Oh, wow.
So it's 13 months. So that's kind of what we're dealing with because of that ESSER money. So there's a whole lot of factors. We're hopeful that we'd like to bid this in early spring. And as I said, take these next 4 to 6 months to fine tune some things, maybe get some things pencil sharpened and get some better input with some value engineering, and then bid it in the spring, and then get ready to start right at in the school year. As far as schedule goes, the only impact with schedule, it would be basically if we were to start here now, we couldn't move until the winter semester of 24, January of 24. And if we were able to start in May or June next year, we'd be moving in at the start of school of 24. So it'd be a semester. And right now, our numbers, as Dr. Veraco and Yolanda and Sarah and Terry say, we're good to go this year, so I don't think it's going to have a real impact on schedule or capacity. So unfortunately, I ask that you reject all those bids that I have previously asked you for.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by Mrs. Kelly.
Excuse me, what was your motion?
Motion to approve the
Rejection.
To approve the rejection of the bids.
Of all bids.
Okay. Go ahead, Howard.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion?
Well, I had a question because I thought I heard you use the term, and maybe I misunderstood it, valued engineering?
Yes.
What is that?
That's basically where myself, the architect, we may invite some key component subcontractors like electrical, HVAC, plumbing, just maybe some structural design that maybe we can look at some things and maybe alter them a little bit from this time to maybe save some money. That's hence value engineering.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
My next item is to update you on the HVAC project. I kind of gave you a little bit on that. It's going very well. Right now, our main goal this summer was we have a classroom area, which are 2 large halls and 11 classrooms, that we have to go ahead and do all kinds of above ceiling work and put in all kinds of piping and equipment, because then we're gonna put in new units in those rooms as part of the renovation. Well, those units aren't gonna be here till April, but we could go ahead and do all the above work, and that was a big undertaking, and we are completely done. We finished last week. The floors are already waxed, the furniture's back in, so that is completely done. We're gonna, between now and next summer, we're gonna be doing some back of house things, as long as we can get equipment, you know, up in the boiler room, the mezzanine, things that aren't gonna affect students and staff. We'll be doing that throughout the year, and maybe take advantage of some spring break, winter break, as we get equipment, because it's trickling in. So we also, as part of the project, an alternate we took was to replace the kitchen and receiving area of Grimmer with LED lights. They just all came in a week and a half ago. We had some issues with some infrastructure, existing infrastructure. Those are resolved, and my electricians are working there. We should have all those in by Friday. So that's where we are with that. Any questions on Grimmer? My last item is just to update you on the summer projects, which I put at your stations. Basically, we are all done. I've given dates that things are not done, and those are things basically that haven't come in. On the first page, we're replacing 4 boards on some RTUs here at the high school. They actually came in Friday. They'll be out Wednesday and Thursday, so those will be done. The other item there is a data meter on the north boiler room that we're doing as far as part of an optimization, so we can kind of monitor our electrical usage. We have one at the south boiler room, and it's really helped us, so we're putting one at the north. Unfortunately, my electrician called me at 5 o'clock tonight and said we're supposed to be here today. Now it's not coming until August 31st. That's another, these electrical items, that's kind of what it is. Again, that won't affect anybody. I told you about the lights. We've got some new sinks at the Grimmer restrooms. They're supposed to be in here Monday or Tuesday, so we should get that in before students come. We ordered some stools from Sharp for some classrooms at Grimmer. Ordered those in May. They're on a ship right now, and they're supposed to be here in October. The one item that does, I've already talked to Ken and Tim at Kaler. If you remember, I think I told you guys on Good Friday that microburst came through Dyer, and it blew down the Dyer scoreboard, the football field scoreboard. We ordered that in May, and at that time he told me after Labor Day, and he's still tracking after Labor Day. So that's where that's at right now. Ordered new stage curtains. They will be here August 15th. Again, that won't really affect anything there. I told you guys earlier, we doing a new PA system as far as the front end equipment at Kaler, and again, we said that they wouldn't be until mid-September, so we already got that scheduled for winter break, and that's been a known entity. A new roll-up door, that's here. They're coming out Wednesday to do that at Bibbage, and that's pretty much, and a gutter tap, which he promised me by Friday. So that's it on the list. So otherwise, we're waiting on stuff to come in.
That was quite the to-do list.
I'm sorry?
I said that was quite the to-do list.
Yes, it was.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledger.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Any
You
other
got it all
questions?
done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have a question. So what will we do that there's not a football field
They're
scoreboard?
going to do it the old-fashioned way. Officials always keep time on the field anyhow, as a backup. They always keep time. And then they'll just have a flipboard or something if needed. Yeah.
So we'll announce it or something?
Yeah, exactly, yes. Yeah.
Okay. And I believe that you have completed this, but I just wanted to double check. There was a request that came in from band boosters about a light out back from when they come in from late night.
We're going to do something with that when he comes to do the meter, yes.
Oh, you
Because
got-
he's going to be working in the north boiler room, yes.
Okay, that's on your
That
list.
wasn't on my list, but yeah, he's going to be working in there.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Bill, very
Thank you.
complete.
Thank you. Our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Good evening. My first item is to seek your approval to advertise the annual financial report that was included in your board packet.
Move to approve the advertisement of the annual financial report?
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you. And then my second item is to seek your approval for the donations that were in your board packet.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
Second by Dr. Malco. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there are no public comments this evening, so we'll move right into board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall?
Thank you. I have no comment.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
This past Friday, Cherville had their 59th annual corn roast, and we had many volunteers from Lake Central, from central office to Cherville principals and teachers. A lot of you are in this room tonight. Just wanted to say thank you. It was awesome to witness your dedication to our community, so thank you.
That's cool. Very nice. Very nice.
Dr. Medlin?
As glorious as summer has been, it always feels hopeful to me to come into a new school year, and I wish the very best for the students and staff and teachers and administration. Thank
Dr.
you.
Malcolm? Oh, I'm sorry, you done?
That was it.
Dr. Malcolm?
Right, and there's nothing better than to drive into the parking lot and see it all restriped, nice and clean, and then you walk in the building and the floors are all shiny and beautiful. It really is a good feeling, and I think we know that it's going to be a good year this year. I had a question, since there's several administrators here. Lake Central still has a policy against bullying, am I correct? Okay, yeah, well, Mrs. Novak gave me this card, which she gives to all the students, which is really cool, and I noticed it wasn't on here, and I had heard there were a couple of cases of bullying, so I was just checking to make sure that's still our policy. I thought we had a board policy on that, yeah. All right, I think that's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. And St. John Dyer corn roast is this Friday, so thank you to those that have signed up. And if you didn't, come on out and have some corn.
This Friday?
This Friday.
This Friday.
Clark Middle School, and it's in the lawn area. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful outside. And wishing everyone a happy first day and a successful school year. And with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Baracco for board calendar and future activities.
Thank you again. Our next meeting is here on August the 15th, but not before we've already had our first student instructional day on August the 11th. So I too am looking forward to getting everybody back and welcoming staff and students back for a successful school year. Thank you.
Maybe the K-Trap room?
I'm not committing to that yet.
Okay, we're not committed yet.
So, I mean, we'll post it for
Yep.
whichever room
Okay.
we're in. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
And all second, and all in favor?